Hi everyone, welcome to my channel Arvind Educations. Thanks for watching my videos. For more information, please subscribe my channel Arvind Educations or Arvind Biology Classes. Today I am going to discuss about 10th Biology Diagram Based Questions Part 5. This video includes diagram based questions, experimental based questions, data analysis questions and their answers. So let us see first question. Your first question, what does this flowchart indicate? It indicates sex determination in human beings. Second question, who decides the sex of the baby, mother or father? Father decides sex of the baby because father is heterogametic in nature. He produces two types of sperms, half of the sperms with X chromosome and half of the sperms with Y chromosome. During fertilization, a sperm carrying X chromosome fused with ovum, it leads to the formation of female baby. And if a sperm carrying Y chromosome fused with ovum, it leads to the formation of male baby. So father decides the sex of the baby. Third question, were all the traits of baby similar to that of its parents? No. Last question, how many number of chromosomes are present in each cell? Human cell possesses 23 pairs of chromosomes, out of which 22 pairs are autosomes and 1 pair is allosome. Here first question, what does this diagram indicate where it is located? It is the structure of villus or microvillus located in the inner lining of small intestine. Second question, what are the systems working together in this structure? In this structure, digestion and circulatory systems are working together. In circulatory system, blood vascular system and lymphatic systems are working. Third question, what is the main function of this structure? Villus or microvillus helps in absorption of simpler substances, that is glucose, amino acids and fatty acids. Fourth question, what are the reasons behind these foldings? These foldings increase the surface area so that the food retained for longer period, thereby increasing the absorption of simpler substances. I repeat, these foldings increase the surface area so that the food retained for longer period and thereby increasing absorption of simpler substances. Last question, label any four parts in the diagram. Labelings are sensory epithelium, capillary, lacteal, mucus. Here first question, what does this logo indicates? This logo indicates sustainable development. Second question, define sustainable development. Development without damaging environment and ensure resources for future is called sustainable development. I repeat, development without damaging environment and ensure resources for future is called sustainable development. Here first question, what does this logo indicates? It indicates recycling. This logo indicates recycling. Second question, name the three R's. The three R's are reduce, reuse and recycle. Recently one more R is added, which is recover. So now total 4 R's are there. They are reduce, reuse, recycle and recover. Last question, expand IUCN. International Union for the Conservation of Nature. I repeat, International Union for the Conservation of Nature. It works to protect wildlife and habitat. So your question, arrange the terms in a proper sequence in each group. A group of words are given in jumbled order. We should arrange them in a proper order. Here first question, anaphase, telophase, prophase, metaphase. These are the stages in mitotic cell division, but we should arrange them in a proper order. So mitotic cell division, the stages are first prophase, second metaphase, third anaphase, fourth telophase. Second question, spongy mesophyll, upper epidermis, cuticle and palisade mesophyll. It shows the structure of leaf. These are the parts in the structure of leaf, but when we are arrange them in an order, the first one should be cuticle, second upper epidermis, below the upper epidermis we will get palisade mesophyll, then spongy mesophyll. So here first one is cuticle, second upper epidermis, third palisade mesophyll, fourth spongy mesophyll. Next question, motor neuron, sensory neuron, withdrawal of hand, prick pain sensation. It shows reflex arc. So here first prick pain sensation, then that sensation is carried by sensory neuron. Sensory neuron will pass the information to central nervous system. It generates a response that is carried by motor neuron. Motor neuron will pass the response to the effector organ, so withdrawal of hand can be seen. So here first one prick pain sensation, second one sensory neuron, third one motor neuron, fourth one withdrawal of hand. Next question, ovulation, implantation, fertilization, birth. Actually these are the important stages in female reproductive system during childbirth. So first ovulation should take place. After ovulation, when ovum is released, then fertilization is seen. After fertilization, that embryo is implanted. Then after complete development of baby, birth occurs. So first technical term here is ovulation, followed by fertilization, followed by implantation, followed by birth. Next, xylem, hydatodes, root hairs, veins and leaf. It is the way of water movement during the process of guttation. Okay, guttation means loss of water in the form of water vapors from hydatodes. Okay, so first water should pass through the root hairs and then it should enter into the xylem. Through xylem it is carried into leaf. In the leaf it enters into veins, and we know veins are abruptly ends with hydatodes. So here first should be root hair, second xylem, third leaf, fourth veins, fifth hydatodes. Next question, vas deferens, epididymis, seminiferous tubules, urethra, efferent ducts. It is the passage of sperms in male reproductive system. So first sperms are produced in seminiferous tubules, and from there sperms will enter into epididymis through efferent ducts. So seminiferous tubules, efferent ducts, epididymis. From epididymis then the sperms will enter into vas deferens. Through vas deferens it goes outside through urethra. So here first technical term is seminiferous tubules, next efferent ducts, then epididymis, next vas deferens and urethra. Again here arrange the terms in a proper sequence in each group. Here again first one, luteal phase, follicular phase, menstrual phase, ovulatory phase. These are the stages in female menstrual cycle. So here first one is menstrual phase, followed by follicular phase, next ovulatory phase, and last one is luteal phase. Next, aorta, hepatic vein, hepatic portal vein, stomach, liver. It indicates blood flow in hepatic portal system. So first should be aorta. From aorta blood is carried to stomach, and from there the digested food material and everything will enter into liver through hepatic portal vein. So aorta, stomach, hepatic portal vein, next liver. From liver through hepatic vein it is added into the inferior vena cava. So the order is first aorta, next stomach, next hepatic portal vein, next liver, next hepatic vein. Next question, vagina, seminiferous tubules, sperm duct, oviduct, epididymis, urethra, sperms. So it is the passage of sperms from male reproductive system to female reproductive system. Okay, so here first one, seminiferous tubules. Seminiferous tubules to sperms will enter into epididymis, and from epididymis into sperm duct to urethra. Through urethra sperms are released into vagina. From vagina they swim into oviduct. So here seminiferous tubules, epididymis, sperm duct, urethra, sperms, vagina, oviduct. We can also write in the other way, that we can place the sperms in second position. That means from seminiferous tubules sperms are released, which are stored in epididymis, carried by sperm duct, released into the female reproductive system through urethra, in vagina. From vagina they swim up to oviduct. So there is a second way of arranging these words in second order is seminiferous tubule, then sperms, next epididymis, next sperm duct, next urethra, next vagina, and next oviduct. Next, loop of Henle, Bowman's capsule, distal convoluted tubule, glomerulus, and proximal convoluted tubule. It shows the flow of filtrate in nephron during urine formation. So first it is glomerulus. From glomerulus the filtrate will enter into Bowman's capsule. From Bowman's capsule it enters into PCT, proximal convoluted tubule. From there into Henle's loop of Henle. From there it enters into DCT, that is distal convoluted tubule. So first one glomerulus, second Bowman's capsule, third proximal convoluted tubule, fourth Henle's loop, fifth distal convoluted tubule. Next question, water molecule, oxygen, grana, hydrogen and hydroxyl ions, photons. Actually it shows the process of photolysis of water. Okay, so here first photons, the tiny particles coming from solar radiation are called photons, which falls on grana. So in grana water molecule is dissociated to form as hydrogen and hydroxyl ions and oxygen. So the proper arrangement of words, first one photons, second grana, third water molecule, fourth hydrogen and hydroxyl ions, fifth oxygen. Next, epidermis, endodermis, xylem, root hair and cortex. This shows the passage of water conduction in roots. So first root hair is the extension of the cell present in epidermis, means epidermal cell extension is root hair. So first root hair, next epidermis, from epidermis into cortex, from cortex into endodermis, from endodermis it will enter into vascular bundle, which is shown here is xylem. Vascular bundle is the combination of xylem, phloem and cambium, but for us we got only xylem here. So first one root hair, epidermis, cortex, endodermis, xylem. Next, receptor, effector, stimulus, sensory neuron, response, central nervous system, motor neuron. It shows the pathway of reflex arc. Actually any physical parameter which acts on the body is considered as stimulus, which should be received by receptor, and it generates a electric potential that is carried by sensory neuron. Sensory neuron carry that information to central nervous system. It will analyze, send a response. That response is carried by motor neuron. Motor neuron supply that response to effector organ, and effector organ will exhibit the work. So here first term should be stimulus, second receptor, third sensory neuron, fourth central nervous system, fifth response, sixth motor neuron, seventh effector. Next, cuticle, lower epidermis, palisade mesophyll, spongy mesophyll, upper epidermis, stomata, substomatal space. It shows the TS of leaf, transverse section of leaf. It shows leaf internal structure. So let me start from the top. So it is cuticle followed by upper epidermis, then palisade mesophyll, then spongy mesophyll, then substomatal space, then stomata. Stomata is present in lower epidermis. Now in the next slide we'll see the question. The genotype of green stemmed tomato plants is denoted as capital G, and that of purple stemmed tomato plants as small g, when these two are crossed. Now first question, what color of stem would you expect in F1 progeny? So this is a monohybrid cross where we considered the tomato plant stem color. So when green stemmed tomato plant crossed with purple stemmed tomato plant, so parents here are capital G crossed with small g. So gametes, both alleles are similar, so consider only one capital G. Both the alleles are similar, so consider only one small g. So your F1 you will get capital G, small g, that is nothing but a green stemmed tomato plant. So here so the answer, what color of stem would you expect in F1 progeny means color of F1 progeny is green stem. Second question, give the percentage of purple stemmed plants if F1 are self-pollinated. So here when we cross the pure parents capital G and small g in F1 we are going to get capital G, small g. So when you self-pollinate F1 with F1 means capital G, small g, when crossed with capital G, small g, you are going to get 4 offsprings. One is capital G, that is homozygous dominant green. Then you will get 2 capital G, small g, they are heterozygous but dominant green only. Then one small g, that is homozygous recessive, that is purple. So your question, give the percentage of purple stemmed plants if F1 are self-pollinated. So it is 25%. Percentage of purple stemmed plants in F2 generation is 25% or 1/4, because out of 4 offsprings purple is only 1, so 1/4. Next, in what ratio would you find the genotypes capital G and capital G, small g in the F2 progeny? When we crossed F1 with F1, we are going to get 4 offsprings as I told you just now, capital G, small g, capital G, small g, and small g. Here he asked the ratio of genotypes capital G and capital G, small g. So we are going to see only one capital G and 2 capital G, small g. So the ratio is 1:2. Now here, which of the following belongs to same trophic level? Here few examples of food chains are mentioned. Then we should go through the different trophic levels and we have to mention the organisms which belongs to same trophic level. First one, grass, hawk, rabbit, frog and deer. In the case of this one, grass is the primary producer, whereas rabbit and deer belongs to primary consumer. Okay, so the question is, which of the following belongs to same trophic level? So the answer is rabbit and deer. Rabbit and deer, they belongs to primary consumer. So here in the given food chain, grass is primary producer, rabbit and deer are primary consumers, then frog is the secondary consumer. Okay, then hawk will be placed in the tertiary consumer level. Next, frog, grasshopper, grass, hawk, algae. So here grass and algae, they placed under primary producers. So grass, algae are primary producers, grasshopper is the primary consumer, frog is the secondary consumer, hawk tertiary consumer. Next, grasshopper, frog, snake, grass, lizard. Here frog and lizard, they belongs to same trophic level, that is secondary consumer. So grass is the primary producer, grasshopper is the primary consumer, and frog and lizard, they are secondary consumers, and snake is tertiary consumer. Next, wheat plant, grasshopper, frog, deer. So here grasshopper and deer, they belongs to primary consumer. So wheat plant is the producer, so grasshopper, deer are the primary consumers, and then frog will be placed in secondary consumer. Next, insects, algae, spider, snakes, frog. So here spider and frog are placed in secondary consumer level. Okay, so here algae is the primary producer, then insects are the primary consumers. On insects, spider and frog are dependent. Okay, so they are secondary consumers, and snakes are tertiary consumers. Next, grasshopper, frog, grass, lizard. Here frog, lizard, they are secondary consumers, because grass is the primary producer, grasshopper is the primary consumer, frog and lizard are secondary consumers. Last question, goat, grass, tiger, squirrel. So here goat and squirrel, they belongs to primary consumer level, because grass is the primary producer, goat and squirrel are primary consumers, and the tiger can be placed in secondary consumer level. Next, here some hormones are classified in the table division 1, division 2. In division 1, the hormones given are auxins, gibberellins, ethylene, abscisic acid. Division 2, the hormones given are adrenaline, testosterone, growth hormone and thyroxine. Now, by going through the table, we need to solve the answers, questions given below. First question, on what basis the above classification is done? Division 1 are plant growth hormones and division 2 are human hormones. Second question, what are the duties of adrenaline? Adrenaline control emergency conditions. That's why adrenaline, commonly called as fight or flight hormone or emergency hormone. It regulates heartbeat and it dilates pupil, etc., etc. Next, which hormone is responsible for closure of stomata in plants? Abscisic acid, ABA. Abscisic acid is responsible for closure of stomata. Next, which hormone ripens fruits? Ethylene is responsible for ripening of fruits. So, ethylene helps in ripening of fruits. Next, which hormone maintains BMR? Thyroxine maintains BMR in humans. BMR, basal metabolic rate. So, metabolism in humans is maintained by thyroxine. Last question. Which hormone is responsible for conversion of dwarf plants to tall plants? Gibberellins converts dwarf plants to tall plants. Here, read the flowchart and answer the following question. Here, food enters into mouth and from there into buccal cavity, from there into pharynx, from pharynx into esophagus, esophagus to stomach, stomach to duodenum, first part of small intestine, and here in the table you see into duodenum, liver and pancreas, both the digestive glands are open into duodenum. Duodenum continued with small intestine to large intestine to rectum, rectum to anus. We can see the flow of food with the help of arrow marks. Now by considering this table, we need to answer the following questions. Now first question, which part is known as junction for both food and air passage? Pharynx is the junction for both food and air passage. Next, what are the structures present in small intestine for absorption? Of course, they are villi or microvilli. They helps in absorption of food. Next, in which parts we observed involuntary actions or movements? Esophagus, small intestine, large intestine. These are the parts, they shows involuntary movements through peristalsis. Last question, name the sphincter present in the stomach. Here, in between stomach and duodenum, first part of small intestine, a sphincter called pyloric sphincter is present. So, pyloric sphincter present between stomach and duodenum. Here, complete the table. Serial number, name of the gland, some of the glands are missing, enzyme it secretes, some of the enzymes are missing, and then function of the enzyme, one function is missing there. So let us see the table and we should fill the blanks there. So first one, in the first one, thiolin enzyme is there. We know thiolin is also called as salivary amylase. So salivary amylase is produced by salivary glands. So name of the gland under first one, we should write salivary gland. So salivary gland secretes thiolin or salivary amylase. Then what is its function? Its function, it converts carbohydrates into dextrins and maltose. Next, second is stomach. Stomach is not the gland, but stomach possesses gastric glands. Then gastric glands produce gastric juice. Gastric juice includes HCl, pepsinogen and prorenin. So under function, we have one word, that is breaking the proteins. So on proteins, pepsin is working. So here enzyme it secretes is pepsin. So function is breaking the proteins, that is proteins are converted to proteoses and peptones. Then let us see third one, liver. Liver produces bile juice. So direct answer is bile juice, and its function, it helps in emulsification of fats. Then last one, under enzymes we see trypsin is given. So trypsin is produced from pancreas. Okay, so the fourth gland name is pancreas. Pancreas produces trypsin, and trypsin is responsible for digestion of proteins, that is proteoses and peptones are converted into peptides. Now here a para is given. This para consists of some of the codes in the form of alphabetical alphabets which were mentioned in red lines. So that red letters we need to find out first, and then we should answer the questions which were asked under this para. Okay, so let us try to understand the para. There is a pair of bean shaped organs P in the human body. Bean shaped organs are kidneys. So P is kidney. Okay, so bean shaped organs, kidneys in the human body. Towards the back, just above the waste. A waste product Q formed by the decomposition of unused proteins in liver. So unused proteins in liver, definitely deamination of proteins are going on in liver. So naturally bile pigments are produced there. Why? Because destruction of RBCs are seen in liver, so they produce bile pigments. So your Q is bilirubin and biliverdin, or together you can say bile pigments. Okay, so a waste product, bile pigments formed by the decomposition of unused proteins in liver is brought into organ P, means organ kidney, through blood by an artery R. So the blood vessel which is reaching the kidney is a renal artery. So R is a renal artery. The numerous tiny filters present, S present in organ P. Organ P means kidney. So kidney possess numerous tiny filters. They are called nephrons. So S is nephron. In other terms, other than nephron, we can also consider renal arterioles which are present in glomerulus. Okay, right? That is the place where the process of filtration is seen. So that's why we can use the word renal arterioles in glomerulus or nephrons. So yes, nephrons. So the numerous tiny filters called nephrons present in organ kidney clean the dirty blood, goes into circulation through a vein T. So a blood vessel which is coming out of the kidney is a renal vein. So T is a renal vein. Full stop. The waste substance Q, that is bile pigments, other waste salts and excess water form a yellowish liquid U. So definitely yellowish liquid is urine. Okay, U is urine, which goes from organ P, kidney, into a bag-like structure V. Bag-like structure which stores urine is urinary bladder. So V is urinary bladder through two tubes W. From each kidney a tube is arised, that is called ureter. So two ureters from two kidneys will come and join the urinary bladder. So here U is urine, V is urinary bladder, W are ureters. Okay, this liquid is then thrown out of the body through a tube X. So X, that is called urethra. That means that is the urine which is thrown outside, out of the body, which comes outside through urethra. So if you understand the technical terms, then we can answer the questions very easily. Okay, so let us see the questions. First question: what is organ P and waste substance Q? Organ P is kidney, waste substance Q is bile pigments or bilirubin and biliverdin. Second question: name artery R and vein T. Artery R, which is coming into the kidney, that is renal artery. Vein T is going out of the kidney, that is renal vein. Third question: what are tiny filters S known as? Tiny filters S, they are nothing but nephrons, or otherwise you can say renal arterioles in glomerulus. Last question: name the liquid U, structure V, tubes W, tube X. Name the liquid U is urine, structure V is urinary bladder, tubes W are ureters, and tube X is urethra. Again, one more question, one more paragraph is given. So here the organ A of a person has been damaged completely due to a poisonous waste material. B has started accumulation in his blood, making it dirty. So definitely if kidney is damaged, waste materials are accumulated in the blood because they are not filtered. So here organ A is kidney. Then waste material B here in human body, the urea is formed, which is nitrogenous waste substance, nitrogen containing substance. So A is kidney, B is urea, or otherwise you can say nitrogenous waste substance. Okay, so the organ kidney of a person has been damaged completely due to a poisonous waste material B, that is urea or nitrogenous waste substance, has started accumulation in his blood, making it dirty. Full stop. In order to save this person's life, the blood from an artery in the person's arm is made to flow into long tubes made of substance E. Okay, so long tubes which are made up of cellophane paper. Substance E means cellophane paper, which are kept in coiled form in a tank containing solution F. F is a dialyzing fluid. So in dialyzing fluid, several coiled like tubes are present, which are made up of cellophane paper. Okay. Now this solution contains three materials G, H and I, similar proportions to those in normal blood. Definitely here G are waste molecules, H nutrient molecules, I water. That means waste molecules, nutrient molecules and water are in similar proportions to those in normal blood. So as the person's blood passes through long tubes of substance E, cellophane paper, most, if the waste is present in it, go into the solution. The clean blood is then put back into a vein in the person for circulation. Actually, this is the process which is seen in hemodialysis. Okay, so let us see the first question. What is an organ A? Organ A is kidney. Next, name the waste substance B. Waste substance B is urea or nitrogenous waste substance. Next, what are E and F? E is cellophane paper, F dialyzing fluid. Next, what are G, H and I? G waste molecules, H nutrient molecules, I water. What is the process described above is known as? The process which is described above is dialysis or hemodialysis. Read the table and answer the following questions. So let us try to read the table first and then later on we'll answer the questions which are asked here. So in the first column, alkaloid is mentioned, which is obtained from the plant and from which part of that particular plant we can obtain this alkaloid, and then what are the uses of alkaloids is mentioned. So first, morphine is obtained from Papaver somniferum, which is available in the fruit of that particular plant, which is acting as a painkiller. Then caffeine is the alkaloid obtained from coffee plant, which is obtained from seeds, which is acting as a nervous stimulant. Then reserpine is obtained from Rauwolfia plant, that is snake root, which is obtained from root and bark, which is acts against snake bite. So it is acting as an antivenom. Next, scopolamine obtained from Datura stramonium, which is obtained from fruit and flower of that particular plant, which is a sedative. Next, pyrethroids obtained from Tridux flowers, which is acting as a insecticide. Next, nimbin is obtained from neem plant. Neem plant leaves possess nimbin, which is acting as a antiseptic. Next, quinine is obtained from Cinchona officinalis. From the bark of this particular plant, we can obtain quinine, which is a anti-malarial drug. Next, nicotine is obtained from leaves of tobacco plant, which is also used as a insecticide. So let us solve the questions. First question, what is the scientific name for neem plant? Neem plant scientific name is Azadirachta indica. Next, name the plant in which alkaloids are present in leaves. So by just looking at the table we can say it very clearly, that is tobacco plant and neem plant. Okay, so tobacco, neem, leaves are producing alkaloids, nimbin and nicotine. Okay, next, which alkaloid is used as nervous stimulant? Caffeine is the alkaloid used as nervous stimulant. Name the alkaloid which is from Rauwolfia. Rauwolfia is nothing but snake root. From there we will obtain reserpine, which is acting as, used as anti-venom against snake bite. Okay. Next, last question. What type of products are these alkaloids? Alkaloids are secondary metabolites which are formed from plants. Actually, plant produces two types of metabolites, primary metabolites and secondary metabolites. Primary metabolites are the nutrients such as carbohydrates, proteins and fats, and secondary metabolites are the excretory substances, and one of that is alkaloid. So alkaloid is a secondary metabolite. Next, read the table and answer the following. So one more table. Here we got name of the organism and excretory organ. So protozoa, there is no proper excretory organ, but it excretes through simple diffusion. Next, Platyhelminthes excretes through flame cells. Then Arthropoda excretes through green glands and Malpighian tubules. Then Mollusca excretes through Metanephridia. Echinodermata, they do not possess a proper excretory organ, but they excrete through water vascular system, where they possess tube feet. Through that tube feet they used to eliminate the wastes. So let us see the questions. First question, name the excretory organs in protozoans. Actually, no special excretory organs are there in protozoans, but they excrete by a simple process called simple diffusion. Next, in cockroach, what are the excretory organs? So cockroach belongs to Arthropoda, and Malpighian tubules are the excretory organs in cockroach. Next, in sea cucumber, what are the excretory organs? Sea cucumber actually belongs to echinoderms, and echinoderms, they excrete through water vascular system. Last question, in which animals flame cells are the excretory organs? Flame cells are the excretory organs in Platyhelminthes or flatworms. Now here, how can you classify the following? Tabulate the answer and write one function about each. So here a group of words are mentioned. So we need to categorize them first, we need to classify them first, and should write one function regarding each. Okay. So the words mentioned for us here are thiolin, morphine, riboflavin, thyroxine, thymine, nimbin, sucrase, amylase, calciferol, quinine, adrenaline and vasopressin. So one can understand very easily the technical terms are which are mentioned here belongs to, some of them are enzymes, some of them are hormones, some of them are vitamins, and some of them are alkaloids. So let us group them. So first enzymes. Then under enzymes here we come across thiolin, sucrase, amylase. So thiolin, sucrase, amylase are enzymes. Next, thyroxine, adrenaline, vasopressin, these three are hormones. Thyroxine, adrenaline, vasopressin are hormones. Next, riboflavin, thiamine, calciferol, these three are vitamins. Riboflavin, thiamine, calciferol are vitamins. Next, morphine, nimbin, quinine, these three are alkalides. Morphine, nimbin, quinine are alkalides. So we have to classify them and should write one function about each. Let us see the functions of enzymes. First one, thiolin. Thiolin converts carbohydrates into dextrins. Thiolin is nothing but salivary amylase produced by salivary glands, which converts carbohydrates into dextrins, maltose. Next, sucrase. Sucrase is present in small intestine, produced from intestinal glands. Sucrase converts sucrose into glucose and fructose. So sucrase converts sucrose into glucose and fructose. Sucrose is a disaccharide converted into two monosaccharides, glucose and fructose. Next, amylase, nothing but pancreatic amylase produced from pancreas. It converts dextrins into maltose, sucrose, lactose. Here maltose, sucrose, lactose are disaccharides. Next, let us see the functions of hormones. First one, thyroxine. Thyroxine maintains BMR, basal metabolic rate. Thyroxine is also responsible for growth. Thyroxine is also responsible for ossification of bones, etc. Next, adrenaline. Adrenaline is another hormone which is commonly considered as emergency hormone, which regulates heartbeat, and it is also responsible for dilation of pupil. Next, one more hormone is vasopressin. Vasopressin acts on kidney tubules, helps in reabsorption of useful substances during urine formation. That means vasopressin is controlling urination. Next, vitamins. Riboflavin, that is B2 vitamin that prevents glassitis. Next, thiamine. Thiamine is B1 vitamin that prevents beriberi. Next, calciferol. Calciferol is vitamin D that is responsible for development and strengthening of bones. Next, three alkaloids are mentioned here: morphine, nimbin and quinine. So morphine, it is a sedative drug, it is acting as a painkiller. Nimbin is a antiseptic and quinine is a anti-malarial drug. So here read the following table and answer the questions. Again, division 1, division 2 are given. Division 1, under division 1 we have hormones like FSH, thyroxine, adrenaline, insulin, testosterone. Division 2, we got hormones like auxin, gibberellin, cytokinin, ABA and ethylene. Let us see the questions and answer them. First question, on what basis the hormones are divided? Division 1 are human hormones, division 2 are plant growth hormones. Second question, which gland produces adrenaline? Adrenal gland produces adrenaline. Adrenal gland, particularly adrenal medulla. Adrenal medulla produces adrenaline. Next, what is the function of insulin in the body? Insulin control sugar levels in the blood. Blood sugar level is regulated by insulin. Last question, write the full form of FSH. FSH is follicle stimulating hormone. It helps in spermatogenesis, sperm formation in male, and it helps in oogenesis, ovum formation in female. Next, complete the following table. Once again, gland, secretion, either function or effect on the body we have to say. So first one, pancreas. Pancreas specially mentioned beta cells. Pancreas beta cells secrete insulin. So under secretion we have to write insulin. Then what insulin the function is? Insulin converts glucose to glycogen. Actually insulin won't convert, it promote. Insulin promote the conversion of glucose to glycogen. Insulin asks the body cells to utilize the glucose present in the blood. So these are the two functions. Then effect. If sufficient insulin is not produced, then it leads to diabetes mellitus. Next, in second one, gland and secretion both are not mentioned, but effect is mentioned, that is protruding eyes. Protruding eyes is a prominent symptom of exophthalmic goiter. So exophthalmic goiter is caused because of hyperthyroidism. So secretion is excess thyroxine, means thyroxine is produced excess. Okay, so thyroxine is produced from thyroid gland. So the second one, gland is thyroid gland, secretion is excess thyroxine, then protruding eyes is a symptom of exophthalmic goiter. Under third one, vasopressin is mentioned. It's a direct question, direct answer. Vasopressin is produced from posterior lobe of pituitary gland. So posterior lobe of pituitary gland producing vasopressin. So its function, it acts on kidney tubules, helps in reabsorption of useful substances during urine formation. Okay, then effect on the body. If vasopressin is not secreted sufficiently, then it leads to diabetes insipidus. Or if vasopressin is produced excess, then by constricting blood vessels, blood pressure is raised, which may lead to high blood pressure. Last, study the diagram and write the name of the blood vessels against its number in the space provided. First, we need to go through the diagram properly. Then we have to answer those 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So first, heart to lungs. Heart to lungs, blood pumps deoxygenated blood to lungs with the help of pulmonary artery. So 1 is pulmonary artery, heart to lungs. Next, from heart, second one is raised, that is reaching different body organs. So the second one is aorta or systemic aorta, because it is reaching different body organs. So definitely heart pumps oxygenated blood to different body organs only through aorta or systemic aorta. So second one is aorta. Third one is towards liver. So towards liver, the blood is carried by hepatic artery. So third one is hepatic artery. Fourth one, you see the fourth one, between gut to liver, there is a separate system which is present between gut and liver. Gut here is nothing but alimentary canal, particularly group of blood vessels from stomach and small intestine into liver. Okay, so your fourth one is hepatic portal vein, because portal system, hepatic portal system is present between gut and liver. So your fourth one is hepatic portal vein. Next, fifth one, which is coming towards kidney. So a blood vessel which is carrying blood into the kidney is renal artery. So fifth one is renal artery. Sixth one, which is coming out of the kidney. So blood vessel which is coming out of the kidney is renal vein. So sixth one is renal vein. Then seventh one, which is coming out of the liver. So third one, you see hepatic artery is coming into the liver, and a blood vessel which goes outside from liver is hepatic vein. So seventh one is hepatic vein. Next, so renal vein, hepatic vein, all these blood vessels are carried further and which are going to reach the heart, which is coming from the lower parts of the body. That's why eighth one is inferior vena cava or posterior vena cava, which is carrying used blood, deoxygenated blood from different parts of the body. So eighth one is inferior vena cava or posterior vena cava. Then ninth one, from lungs to heart, the arrow mark is mentioned, that is ninth one. So from lungs to heart, lungs to left auricle, that is pulmonary vein. So ninth one is pulmonary vein which is carrying oxygenated blood. Okay, so let us take number wise. So first one is pulmonary artery, that is heart to lungs. Second one is aorta, that is supplying blood to all the body organs. Third one is hepatic artery, that is going to liver. Fourth one is hepatic portal vein, which is present between gut to liver. Okay, then fifth one is renal artery, which is coming to kidney. Then sixth one is renal vein, which is coming out of kidney. Seventh one is hepatic vein, which is coming out of liver. Eighth one is inferior vena cava or posterior vena cava, which is going to heart from lower body parts. Ninth one is pulmonary vein, which is coming from lungs to heart. Thank you for watching my videos. For more updates, please subscribe my channel Arvind Educations or Arvind Biology Classes. Thank you.